It's Friday! Yay! We made it to Friday! This is the 5th week of learning virtually that you guys have accomplished. Great job. Give yourself a pat on the back. Give a huge hug to whoever it is that's helping you with your learning and tell them thank you. Today you have lots of fun activities to do. You do not have to post them to Class Dojo. Just enjoy your learning today, okay? Make sure you've turned in your daily assignment for science, reading, and math, as well as yesterday's assignment for science, reading, and math. Yesterday's assignment were test grades, so you want to make sure and get those turned in. Also, keep posting your multiplication challenge results. Yes, it is getting more challenging. Just keep practicing and you're going to get better and better at that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go on to reading from The World According to Humphrey. And we just found out that he was purchased by Miss Mack and she gave him a little tiny notebook and a little pencil. Of course, it might be a while before you learn to read and write, she continued. But you're smart, and I know you'll catch on fast. Little did she know I could already make out some words from my long, boring days at Petarama. Words like chew toys, kibble, pooper scoopers. Remember, a hamster is grown up about 5 weeks old. So if I could learn all the skills I need for life in 5 weeks, how long could it possibly take to learn to read? I'll tell you, a week. Yep, in a week I could read and even write a little with my tiny pencil. In addition to schoolwork, I learned quite a bit about the other students in room 26, like lower your voice, AJ, and speak up, Saya, and wait for the bell, Garth, and Golden Miranda. Even after I found out her name is really Miranda Golden, I thought of her as Golden Miranda because her long blonde hair. After all, I am a golden hamster. Yes, life in room 26 suited me well during the day. My cage had all the comforts a hamster could ask for. I had bars on the window to protect me from my enemies. I had a little sleeping house in one corner where no one could see me or bother me. There was my wheel to spin on, of course, and a lovely pile of nesting material. My mirror came in handy to check my grooming and to hide my notebook. In one corner, I kept my food. The opposite corner was my bathroom area because hamsters like to keep their poo away from their food. Who doesn't? All my needs were taken care of in one convenient cage. At night, I went home from school with Miss Mack and we watched TV or listened to music. Sometimes Miss Mack played her bongo drums. She made a tunnel on the floor so I could race and wriggle to my hamster's heart's delight. Oh, the memories of those 6 weeks with Morgan McNamara. That's her real name, but she told her students to call her Miss Mack. That's how nice she is, or was. On the weekends, Miss Mack and I had all kinds of adventures. She put me in her shirt pocket, right over her heart, and took me with her to the laundry room. She had friends over and they laughed and made a fuss over me. She even took me for a bike ride once. I could still feel the wind in my fur. I didn't have an inkling until this morning of the unsqueakable thing she was about to do to me. On the way to work, she said, "Humphrey, I hate to tell you, but this is my last day in room 26. I'm going to miss you more than you'll ever know." What was she saying? I hung on to my wheel for dear life. You see, it's really Mrs. Brisbane's class, but just before school started, her husband was in an accident, so I took over the class. Today, she's coming back for good. Good? I could see nothing good in what Miss Mack was saying. Besides, I want to see the world, Humphrey, she told me. Fine with me. I've thoroughly enjoyed all the world I've seen so far and would go to the ends of the earth with Miss Mack. But she wasn't finished yet. But I can't take you with me. All hopes dashed. completely. Besides, the kids need you to teach them responsibility. Mrs. Brisbane needs you too. Unfortunately, she didn't tell Mrs. Brisbane that. Mrs. Brisbane was already in room 26 when we arrived. She smiled at Miss Mack and shook her hand. Then she frowned at me and said, "Is that some kind of rodent?" Miss Mack gave her the speech about how kids can learn from taking care of another species. Mrs. Brisbane looked horrified and said, "I can't stand rodents! Take it back!" The it she was talking about was me. Mrs. Mack didn't bat an eyelash. She put my cage in its usual place next to the window and said the kids were already very attached to me. She attached Dr. Harvey H. Hammer's Guide to the Care and Feeding of Hamsters to the cage, along with a chart to make sure I was fed and my cage was cleaned on time. "The children know what to do. You won't have to do a thing," Miss Mack said as Mrs. Brisbane glared at me. Just then, my fellow students came streaming into the room, and within half an hour, Miss Mack had said goodbye to everyone, including me. "I'll never forget you, Humphrey," she whispered. "Don't you forget me either." "Not likely, but I don't know if I can ever forgive you," I squeaked. And then she was gone, without me. Mrs. Brisbane didn't even come close to my cage until recess. Then she walked over and said, "Mister, you gotta go." But she doesn't know my secret. The latch on my cage door doesn't work. It never has. It's the lock that doesn't lock. So I've got news for Mrs. Brisbane. If I've got to go, it will be when and where I decide to go, not her. Meanwhile, I'm not turning my back on this woman, not for a second. If I ever disappear and someone finds this notebook, just check out Mrs. Brisbane, please. Tip 1. Choose your new hamster's home very carefully and make sure it is secure. Hamsters are skillful escape artists, and once out of their cages, they are very difficult to find. That's from the Guide to the Care and Feeding of Hamsters by Dr. Harvey Hammer. And that is the end of our first chapter. So we will start on chapter 2 next week, and chapter 2 is called Night Life. I wonder what that might be about. Have a fabulous learning day and a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you Monday. Bye.